For the next session, the panel session, it will be moderated and chaired by Associate Professor Dr. Alvin Yeo. And I'll introduce you to him first, and then I will invite all the panelists on the stage. He is the Director of the Institute of Social Informatics and Technological Innovations, and an Associate Professor at the Faculty of Computer Science and Information Technology. He earned his PhD in Bachelor of Computing and Mathematical Sciences from University of Waikato, New Zealand. And he is also chair of the Pro Tem MSDH Sarawak chapter. So please welcome your chairperson, Associate Professor Dr. Alvin Yeo. And I'd also like to invite on stage all the panelists for this session. Test the walk, what must Asia do now? Panelists are John Fode from Cognizant Denmark, Werner Lieblang from Diaz and Hilterscheid Unternehmensberatung, GmbH, Germany, and we have Professor Azuma from Waseda University and Dr. Mark Kimo, Air Academy Associates, USA.
Firstly, I have Professor Azuma, and as he had presented earlier on, he has like 35 years of experience in the area, 24 years working at NEC, 24 years at Waseda University, and basically you can say he's the father of ISO 9126. He's also the member of the ISO, IEC, JTC, SC7 member, and this was formed in the 80s, so you can imagine how long he has been in this area and the wealth of knowledge that he actually has. Next, on my right, I have Werner Lieblang, and Werner is an electrical engineer with 20 years of experience in software development. He's worked 5 years of those 20 years in safety critical systems on railway, basically railway systems, to, well, as a way to put it, to make sure that the non-true trends collide. He has 50 years of software quality assurance work experience, and he's a member of the German testing board. He's a consultant, trainer for the ISQB as well as on HR testing. And on the personal side, there's 3 daughters, and interestingly enough, he's interested in what we call improvisation theatre or theatre sports, as we put it. Okay. On my left, immediate left, is Dr. Mark, also with 35 years of experience in the area, and very much into business process improvement. Six Sigma, and has taught Six Sigma to the Motorola University, among the first to teach Six Sigma to the Motorola University. He is known for his knowledge-based approach of KISS. He has a more politically correct one, which is keep it simple statistically. And among his interests are hiking, climbing, and biking. And last but not least, on my far left, the Fode, and he's the chair of the Danish Software Testing Board, and he's building a Danish platform similar to SoftTech, trying to get the community together. The conference DST, he's been in the line of software testing for 16 years, basically a test methods specialist. He's a practice lead for the Nordic region, and in his spare time, likes traveling exotically to exotic locations such as Malaysia, where he did, so please come back again. So, on to what we're actually here for today. Now, usually in this session, it's not quite participatory, so I like to be a bit participatory here in the sense at the very beginning. I've introduced the panelists, so basically we just want to get to know a bit from the audience. So basically you need to just raise your hands twice, okay? So first question is,
How many of you are from the government? Go ahead. Okay, thank you. How many from academia? Thank you. And how many from industry? Okay, so if you didn't put up your hand, I think you either are sleeping or not quite listening. So, second question. On terms of the experience, so this is in terms of the experience in software testing or how you actually, how long you actually know about this area. So, how many years of experience do you think you have in relation to software testing? In this case, so 1 to 2 years. Okay. 3 to 5 years. And more than 5 years. Okay, so I think we've got a good mix of the audience. Now, as you are aware, there are actually two panels. First one yesterday was in terms of the division, what is Asia to wake up to. And the second one that we're actually doing is like, what must Asia do next? And probably what I'd like to do is actually present a bit of context. And yesterday in the speech by the minister, he actually pointed out that outsourced testing services worldwide spending currently is at USD $14.8 billion and to exceed 29 billion USD by 2017. Another point he made was that the Asia Pacific region has grown to become the largest destination for testing services in terms of market billing, and this is accounting for 78% of the global outsourced testing services market, worth 11.5 billion USD, and the corresponding figure was 19.8%. So you can see that, well, basically we are more or less in the right business in terms of the monetary side. A bit of summary from yesterday's talk, and this is to lead on to the deliberations that we're going to be doing afterwards. So yesterday in the session with Dean Copeland, there were a number of points that was actually raised. So there were actually 4 points. One point was about Asia, that is basically taking over the world. Secondly, it's about the market in Asia, that it is actually quite a complex market. Third was about the skills needed for software testing, that we are not only talking about technical skills, but also on the soft skills. And the last item was in terms of like practice, that yes, you need to actually gain the knowledge, but you also need to practice, and only then you can actually move forward to innovate. So these are the 4 points that was more or less raised yesterday. And what I'd like to put to the panel first is your take on that, as in are there any other new items that you think you'd like to add to this list in terms of what must software testing in Asia must be aware of? Or you want to elaborate on some of these points? So typically we'll start with the senior, which is Professor Azuma Sinsen, to actually give your take.
By considering the topics in this panel, I'd like to tell the 2 important issues to be considered in Asia. One is, I think, the culture. As Dr. Nishi talked, Japanese culture, for example, from my view, that there are 2 or 3 recently the major characters of Japanese culture. The time, quality, and kawaii. These are the 3 major issues to be considered. The culture. We think that in terms of Dr. Nishi, the kodawari on the time, punctuality, and the quality. The time, you know, the rapid train, the Shinkansen in Japan. The Tokaido Shinkansen starts Tokyo stage every 3 minutes, exactly on time. It's amazing. And every broadcasting starts very punctually every program. For example, exactly 8 o'clock, the next, the news start at exactly 8 o'clock, and 8:15 exactly start the next program. It's kind of Japanese the time punctuality kodawari. And the next one is a quality. I think Japanese people needs better quality more than necessary. I remember when I was a child, there are very cheap drawer to keep clothes, and each drawer, when I push to close, the above drawer open because of the air pressure. And every stripe must be exactly meet from the sleeve and main body. If there is 1 millimeter difference, the shop will not receive from the clothes manufacturer because it not cannot be sold. And the next issue is the difference of the language. In Asia, I think there are more character sets like the Japanese language. We use the kanji characters and hiragana and katakana. Korean use the different character set. And China, mainland China use the simplified character set of the Chinese character, but Taiwan still using the different. So there are so many different types and it's completely different. But in Europe, at least they can understand, recognize the difference based on the same alphabetic characters. So when we improve the national industry, we must, I think, always consider these two different culture and the difference of the language or characters. And the third topic is the kawaii. You know, the Hello Kitty or other fashion in Harajuku, especially. It's very popular now in France or in America. So we are actually exporting kawaii culture now. Thank you.
Yes, hello everybody. I just learned that some of the things we try to do in Germany are quite Japanese. We try to run trains on time as well, but we're not that successful. And we try to start television programs on time too, but we're not that successful either there. So, but some of the things I can underline. I can tell you from my experience, what I regard as the most important development of the current times is what Nick Copeland said yesterday, moving to Agile. Agile will be there to stay. Agile is not just hype and it will be gone in a few years. It is just moving back to the basics of people talking to each other, of people working together, of people being customer-oriented, something we have lost over the last 30 years during software development. I worked for 20 years as a software developer, and that is how I started out to write software in the 70s. We were talking to each other. We were talking to the testers. We were talking among the developers, and that somehow got lost on the way. It got separated. Testing and software development became separated. And I'm quite happy that it moves back together now, because I see there is a big advantage in that. So that would be, from my point of view, the most important thing that you have to look at. Don't be content with just being testers. Learn how developers think. learn how business analysts think, learn how your customers think, and automatically you will become better testers and you will be more valuable in your team of software developers, more valuable in serving your customers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yor. Looking back at panel one and seeing the discussion or hearing the discussion yesterday, one of the things that did not come up, and it is very much culturally related, as Dr. Azuma, Professor Azuma said too, the cultures are different. And one thing I've noticed about the Asian culture is a very important emphasis that's placed on certification. And I just want to remind us all, it doesn't matter what culture it is, certification should be based on competency. Competency, and several of the speakers yesterday, both in the panel and separately, mentioned the need to be able to compete in order to be competitive in the worldwide market. And compete is the root word in English of competency. So competency is, I will define that now as the ability to use the proper technique, the tool or method, how to use it properly, know when to use it, and above all, why are we doing this? To deliver value to our customers. So I just want to remind us that competency is a very important attribute, and we don't want to confuse that with certification. And in order to be certified, competency should come first. And that is one little takeaway that I took away from the discussion yesterday.
Thank you.
Good morning, all. I would say that, like any other project, or test project or software project, we typically look at processes, technology, and people. These are the three main elements. And I would say that focusing on these three issues can help Asia to the next step. Technology is out there, so it's just a matter of the next. Processes, I think we've done, perhaps throughout the history of software testing, some mistakes that Asia might have, can learn from in Europe and the US. I would say we have, for example, throughout the years, had a tendency maybe to over-process some of the things. And I think maybe the trick here is finding the balance between the needed processes and control that you can achieve by using the processes. So for example, the keynote that we heard this morning was a real example of how we can actually add efficiency by reducing the processes. And I think, for example, some of the agile concepts out there were built tremendous helpful for Asia going forward in that area. And the last part is the people. I think we should start with the education system, and I think we're doing we're on the right track here with respect to having a platform, having a community. And I would say what I'd like to see is actually encouraging people to exchange experiences within this community. So, for example, I would very much like to come to the next SoftTech and hear some of the local leaders telling about their war stories, their achievements, sharing experiences within Malaysia. Not necessarily only the international speakers, I'd love to come back, if you're wrong, but I'd love to hear also some of the local people telling their story about how they achieved success because they have cultural aspects, the cultural aspects that might be interesting from the other delegates here in the conference.
Great, excellent. So, given the fact that we are now basically heard from them in terms of the things that Asia has basically to wake up to, things that the Asian software testing needs to be aware of. So we move to the next part of the question, and this in some sense is like more drilling down, not only looking at Asia, but also I guess from the Malaysian perspective, because I think most of you guys are from Malaysia. Just out of show of hands, how many Malaysians are here? So I think majority. Okay, so this is not to exclude the international visitors, but basically, and then one of the things that the minister had mentioned yesterday was that, you know, the intent of the Malaysia software testing hub that we have here is to transform Malaysia into a destination of choice for outsourced software testing services. And basically, you know, MSTH is not only about developing Malaysia's software testing capability to meet the domestic needs, but also to offer like services globally. Now, software testing has been around for a while, and we've actually probably gone through, as John mentioned, that there have been successes. I think there's been failures and all that. So I'd like to put now to the panel, in a sense, given the fact that just now we talk about the issues that's arisen not to actually look like the Asian market, in a sense, what do you think you can actually advise Malaysia to actually more or less probably, I guess, compete internationally, build up capability locally, but in some sense also to consider looking at Malaysia being a unique, what they call, I guess, a unique selling point for Malaysia, because when we talk about Asia, usually, you know, we also China, India, but then, like, we can't, in Malaysia, we can't really compete with, you know, like a big country like Asia and China. So, from your experience, in terms of like advice that you'll be able to actually give, not only to NSCH, but I guess to also to the general software testing community that's actually here. So now I'll start. It was okay with John to actually give some thoughts on that.
Yes, thanks. I think that one of the main strengths here in Malaysia is the diversified country that they have. They are bringing together different languages and cultures. And I think this is definitely something that can be a strength also commercially, especially because you'll be interacting with different countries that might have need for having multilingual, multicultural cultural skills, and these you have here in the country. I think another part of the infrastructure here in Malaysia is quite strong, and I think this is definitely an advantage. And I think the same, last but not least, I think, as mentioned before, the link to the academia is quite strong. So this is also an advantage that you might have compared to some of our competitors in the region.
Thanks. To hitchhike on the ability to compete, if I could recommend one thing, and I've seen, and I haven't worked in Malaysia very long, but the people and the students that I've met in Malaysia have this insatiable desire to learn, and that is a phenomenal property to have. And if I were to recommend one thing for competitiveness, and that would be to gain knowledge through testing. Testing must be much more than just checking. It must be about learning, it must be about exploring, it must be about knowledge gain. And when I talk about knowledge gain, I'm talking about not just knowledge of the testing process, but knowledge about the variables or factors in the software testing process that impact performance. And learning about the relationships. Knowledge, the real important type of knowledge is knowing what is impacting our performance. That is, we have performance measures, we test, we measure, and then we analyze or evaluate. And we need to know those techniques that give us the ability to analyze the data that comes from testing properly. And there is a link between design and analysis, test design and analysis. Many testers that I've run into in the Western parts of the world really don't see the connection between test design and the analysis of the data that comes out of the testing. And that is where the real knowledge gain is. And we've heard numerous speakers over the last 2.5 days now talk about learning, about exploratory testing, and this is what it's all about. We have to make testing more than just checking. It's got to have an expanded meaning of the ability to gain knowledge. We've also heard speakers talk about the goal of, contributing and delivering greater value to our customers. about generating and also measuring return on investment, about developing this competitive advantage, about cultural change. Those are all great goals, but there's got to be something that is more granular, and that is gaining knowledge. Knowledge is the first step to achieving all four of those goals that I just mentioned. So if there's one thing I could recommend, and that is continue the desire to learn new methods, new techniques, go outside, even the software community, to learn what other people are doing to test. People test all the time. Even when I go to my physical therapist, and I ask my physical therapist, I only have time to do 5 or 6 shoulder exercises a day. And you've got to tell me what the best 5 of those are for me, because I don't have time to waste. And this young physical therapist looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, look at all the patients you have out there. You could be gathering data, testing different methods so that you have a starting protocol for me when I come in here. You know my background, you know what kind of person, you know my height, my weight, my activities, all of this stuff you know. So you should have the results of testing because you have the ability to test on many different patients. So that's what I'd encourage all of us, not just the Asians or the Malaysians. All of us need to develop those techniques, learn the techniques that'll give us more knowledge coming out of the testing process.
Yes, I can only underline that point of education, that point of knowledge, which is important. In Europe, the Asian countries are very often perceived to be just a workbench. People give them easy-to-do work, and they conceive to be cheap labor. And I think Malaysia is in a unique position to get out of that scheme, to make a commitment to provide high-value work, and that is based on the education. But be prepared that having learned what you are learning now, having reached your degree, will not be enough in your professional life. You will have to learn continuously. In 5 years' time, you will be doing work that you have no idea that it ever existed. You will have to move into new areas, and my advice to you would be prepared to be a leader, be prepared to be flexible, be prepared to move into new areas. And we see big industry companies, and I include Germany in that have not made that move fast enough. In Germany nowadays, people, if you know how to test mobile applications in Germany, you can earn any money you want because there are too few people that can do that, but the demand is very high. 5 years ago, nobody thought that there ever would be such a job as a mobile application tester because there were no mobile applications. And in 5 years' time, there'll be different things. So my advice would be prepared for a lifelong learning job, base it on a solid education, but be flexible, be agile, be a leader as far as learning is concerned.
This is my first trip to Malaysia. I have visited more or less about 40 countries, and I don't know how many cities I visited. And my impression here is very clean on the street. I couldn't see any trash on the street from the airport to the hotel. But in other cities, there are so many uncountable trashes somewhere. And people here I met are very nice. So I think the direction of national government and people, the people in the education are going the right direction. So I can tell that concerning the education. Education should not be something like the teacher teach something, remember this or something, but how to establish the scheme or system to self-learning. Every student or people must aware of the importance of self-learning. So if this direction is successful, then the people in the government, people in the industry or in education academy can go faster and better direction.
So, thanks very much. So I think basically just to recap, because as I mentioned, I like to be participatory in this, and I am a Malaysian, and I do know that Malaysians tend to be a bit shy in terms of like getting questions asked. When somebody asks a question and say, "Wow, that's a good question. Why didn't I think of that?" Now, what I like to do before I do the summary, because you can't just be sitting there and then let us all do the work, right? So you guys will also need to do some work as well in that sense. Maybe what I might do before I summarize, what I'd like you to do is reflect back on what has been said, which I will summarize as well. Reflect back on the summary in terms of you in the position that you are in the company, in the organization. Reflect back in terms of what are the things that you want to know more. Because it is actually very difficult to have experts like this. You don't have to go there. These experts are coming here, and we want to make sure that we maximize. We are supposed to be doing more with less, right? So here are the experts who are actually, with their wealth of knowledge, I think can actually provide good advice. So reflect back on your position or where you are. It doesn't matter whether you're experienced or not. Okay, it doesn't matter where you are in the hierarchy, because I'm sure there are questions that you'd like to ask or things that you'd like to actually know from the panel here. So just to quickly recap on what has been discussed. Okay, earlier on I said what are the other things that needs to be actually looked at, and Professor Zuma mentioned about like culture, things like in Japan, punctuality is very important. And Professor was saying that agile really is actually here to stay. And I think one of the things about that was basically was saying we're going back to basics and actually going back to actually being to talking, not rather than just doing the technical work. With Mark, was making the difference between the certification and competency, and I think Malaysia we also the same. Like say, SPM, get degree, and then after that get more degrees, get foundation level, advanced level, and so forth. So you've got all these certificates. So like what next? Okay. Then John mentioned about maybe we are doing what we call over processing, so there needs to be some sort of like balance in which we have to take into account, and maybe to actually consider looking at the Asia, we should be really getting the Asia and all that as well. And I think he was also saying that the next time around, which I think is actually quite pertinent in that case, that local stories. A lot of times from SoftTech is always from the international giving up. But then this time around it's like, what are the stories of experience that you can actually share among yourself, because we are in Malaysia. And then going back to the sort of advice, and coming from John, he was saying that, hey, let's leverage on what we actually have. We are multicultural. We have different languages. I mean, like, I always tell my friends that I come from Malaysia. Hey, we can hit the Chinese market, we hit the Indian market, we hit the Indonesian market. We are in that winning position. Mark came back saying that gaining knowledge is crucial. Okay, and we're not just
gaining the knowledge for the sake of knowledge in a sense, okay, and then it can actually impact performance. Okay, and see now. And Werner continued in terms of like saying that education is actually very important, the lifelong learning is actually crucial. He even pointed out that there's actually a very demanded there, not talking about like mobile applications as there. So those of you who are interested in going to Germany or looking for German work, there's an opportunity there. And the last one is in relation to Prof. Zuma, who actually commented the fact that we actually quite clean in a sense from the compared to the other cities that they actually visit, and that education is quite important. That we shouldn't be just like looking at just learning itself. So maybe I'll do this in that sense. Somebody give me a color. Or before that, okay. Those of you who are wearing red or pink, you will be asked to ask questions. This is what I do in my class because I always have problems getting people to ask questions, right? And I think I would like to hear from the Malaysian audience. So you can't please shut the door, don't let them walk out. Those who are wearing red and pink, okay, you are required to ask one question. Okay, we may go down and then pick some of you. So be ready. So before I go to you guys so that you prepare your questions, I will ask the panelists. Well, let's wrap up in a sense because we need the voices to come from the audience. Okay. So, any comments? Since I started with Professor, so I'll be democratic, so I'll get marks.
The idea of Agile taking over and eliminating the wall between development and test is extremely important. I know in the Department of Defense in the U.S., we have this emphasis now on integrated testing. Now, what that means for them is integrated developmental tests with operational testing. And we talk a lot about finding defects, but it's also about preventing defects. And in the integrated testing in the Department of Defense, the developmental test is designed at preventing defects. Operational testing, which comes typically later, is then used to detect testing. But the closer we can make this testing together, the developmental testing that is in the design and the development areas, together with the operational testing, the better off we're going to be. We will learn more quicker with the agile sprints, a 2-week sprint. We have to learn how to collect and generate knowledge very, very quickly. And the testing techniques and methods that will allow us to do that are available, and we just need to be able to use those.
Well, I want to add to all of that the importance of the language that you mentioned. I think that is a big advantage for you, and so keep sticking to learning English. Keep sticking to using that language because it will be the door to international projects that you have. It's very difficult to gain international projects, to win international projects if you're not learning, or if you can't speak English well. So I think that is a big asset. Although, the character set that you're using, you mentioned that. A lot of Asian countries use different character sets. We have problems if we work together with Russians in Europe, or even with Greek people that have different character sets. So that there are just very simple problems that you can't read what they're writing. And nowadays, that is a bit softened, that problem, by using electronically translation programs, but still it'll be, I see that as a big asset, that you are a country where English is very well spread as a language, and that'll be a door to international projects.
I talked about this self-learning, and now they're studying English. Or Dr. Nishi talked about the Kaizen. In any case, I think how to motivate people is most important. Nadeshiko Japan, the female soccer league, won the gold medal. And the director of this team, my impression is set the exact goal, but how to motivate the members, the most important. And every successful soccer team or baseball team or other team can success only when a leader can motivate the people. How to motivate people is a major issue, but I'm not the expert on motivating people. I can only do my own way.
Okay, so we heard from the panelists, so now it's your turn to ask the questions. Okay? Yes, Malaysia boleh. Beri tepuk tangan ini.
Thank you, Dr. Elvin, for motivating me. My name is Sandaria. I'm from University Kuala Lumpur. I have this Canva point of view that I would like the panel to find the weakness of my view, since we are looking at weaknesses rather than successes. So my point of view is outsourcing is applicable for quality in use based on the context of use, that is based on user and environment, that is the software being deployed, task and operation. These are what I got from Prof. Azuma talk just now. So in the condition that they are trying to mimic the real situation, what are the weaknesses of this view? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Prof. Azuma. Okay, so basically is you have picked up those points in terms like what? Quality in use, and then also
Context of use.
Context of use. So these are
that is involved user and deployment of software environment, task and operation. And considering that is mimicking the real world, meaning trying to make the situation as real as possible. So in that case, in my opinion, outsourcing the testing to the certain lab, for example, Q lab, promoting MSTB, that is possible. That is my opinion. And what are the weaknesses of my opinion?
okay.
Okay?
Yes, I think so. Well, I talked about the quality use. Quality in use is influence perceived by the actual user or other stakeholders when actually used specific context of use. Even the same car can use only on the very good highway or freeway or in the dark of the mountains. So the same product can perceived by the different quality. And testing it's also important to understand these differences. So it's based on the strategy for the product quality. So which aspect the top management focus on the quality. So otherwise you cannot design quality or test the quality.
Okay, so she put like this, I guess. Okay lah. Next question.
My name is Ruben. I basically have two questions this morning. It's rather high level. The first one is about creating an ecosystem for the quality industry. For example, I believe there's a need for quality accountability policy, especially in HSE, finance, law enforcement, and the execution of the law. Quality is not a basic instinct that we wake up with apart from quality of life. It doesn't translate to how we do work. And I would like to gain your advice on this, to see how the panelists would advise policymakers in this regard. That's the first question. And the second question is in regards to regulations and standards are not agile. And although I am a very big supporter of agile and Kaizen, what is the best method for high-value innovation in this regard? Right? What is the best method for actually getting your work recognized when regulations and standards, they don't really change? Right? That's all.
Thanks for the question. I'll start with the second question you had about innovation. I think it starts with building a culture for innovation. And in that respect, we can use some of the simple ideas out there. For example, creating a portal where people can collaborate. This is something that you can all do internally in the company. And actually, I encourage also the managers here to create this incentive for collaborating. So for example, in my company, we've created a portal where people can come up with ideas, with tools that they've created, and other people can comment on those and build on top of those, and those can be built into commercial tools or tools that they can use in different projects. And we reward the people by giving them some virtual points that they can use, for example, to get some gadgets or buy some other stuff about the courses and these kind of things. So my point is, innovation starts by creating a culture for innovation and by picking up on ideas that other people doing actual work. Typically, you cannot just sit down and say, okay, let's innovate today. It's more of looking at concrete challenges you have and then picking the ideas that you have those and creating those ideas into innovations, into, I would say, inventions and sometimes that other people can build upon. So again, it starts with culture, and of course, like anything else, management support is needed.
Thanks, John. Let me take a hack at what I think your first question was, and that is, aside from this innate feeling of quality of life, it's difficult for many people to understand what quality is. But I think if we are cognizant of what is going around us, you can see quality or lack of quality everywhere we go. Coming through the Tokyo airport on Saturday, I guess it was, one of my bags was lost or was put away, and the lady at the customer service desk took it upon herself personally to find that bag. And I didn't, as a customer, didn't expect that. But that to me was the epitome of quality. And they found the bag, they got it routed on to the next flight, and everything was well. Everything was on schedule. quality or the lack thereof is around us everywhere. Let me give you an example in a hotel, where if you have to make 3 or 4 trips down to the front desk to get your key rekeyed because it doesn't work, there's a lack of quality, okay? And we have to perceive those things. They're around us. Anytime we have to do rework or retest or all of those words in the English language that start with RE, that's an indication of lack of quality. And we each experience it. My dad once told me, he said, by the time you're 16 years old, you either have a good feel of quality or you don't. And you can be trained over and over again to, understand what quality really is. But many folks will always revert back to their innate state. So it gets to what Werner was saying, and also Professor Azumi, and that is education. We have to be able to understand how to solve problems that we can't even envision now that we'll encounter. And that's the difference between education and training. There is a difference. Training develops a skill, where education gives us the ability to think out of the box and solve problems that we don't even know we are going to someday come across. So quality envisions all and develops all of those areas.
Yeah, thanks. I just want to add something to the second question, which I understood was along the line of, now what would be the best process to ensure that you achieve the certain level of quality? Well, in my opinion, there is no best process. In my opinion, the key is to use, again, the agile ideas, try out things. Think up a process that might work for you. Try it out, and if it doesn't work for you, you try something different. And if you do that in a rapid sequence, like they do it with the sprint in Scrum, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, you have the chance of trying out something new and to get a feedback on that in your retrospective 3 weeks after that. It'll take you a few cycles to come up with a process that best works for you and that best works for the task that you're trying to address. And in another project, with another task, another process might be the best process to achieve the level of quality you desire.
My comment may be directly answer to your question, but I'd like to talk about the relation between the quality requirement and test case and agile. Okay, so some quality characteristics, such as functional correctness for application domain-specific process. Then you can develop the functional requirement and develop software based on the requirement and develop test case. But in the case of, for example, the security access control, so the software must control unauthorized access to the software. And in many cases, the hacker is more clever than developer. So in that case, the agile develop the test case first, then develop the software. So in this specific, the access control, I think it is very important to try to the unintended or forecasted access from the very clever hacker. It's kind of the competition of cleverness between developer and hacker. So in this case, the use of Agile to produce a test case is very useful.
Thank you. I've just been given a note to say that I've only got 5 minutes left. According to my watch, yes, I've got 5 minutes left. Okay, so for those who are in pink or red, you can breathe a sigh of relief because I'm not going to ask any more questions from you guys already. But by all means, do ask them later on. So just a quick wrap up of like some of the points that was actually mentioned. One of the first things is about what I can say, assets. Malaysia, I think in this case, should be proud of the assets in terms of the people, the language that they speak and all that. It may be a challenge, but behind the challenge there is also opportunity. So there are multiple languages that we can actually, multiple target markets with the different languages that we can actually hit on. And I think Prof. Azuma is it Kawaii, is it? So there are some things that we actually have here. Maybe a nasi lemak testing protocol or something, which may be something that we can actually export out. So I think that's something that I think we need to keep in mind to actually leverage on what our strengths are. I think the next one is in terms of like the knowledge gain, which I think Mark as well as Werner were actually mentioning about, like in terms of the education that it's constantly we need to keep on learning, the lifelong learning as we would call it. And in terms of there are new areas that's actually popping up, so we need to be keeping abreast with it. And in terms of the process of Kaizen to continuously improvement, and I think that leads also back to the education and learning. And I think the last one, which I think is actually quite important in terms of like, I think we Malaysians, I think, need to step up to the next level. I think out of the group of you guys, there has to be some of you who have to take the lead, to become the leader, to actually spearhead things along, because we cannot just keep on like following what other people are doing or mimicking, as what was actually mentioned. So with that note, I'm going to end this, and I think one of the last thing is we are actually, especially Malaysia, we know that we do all these plans and all that, but the ultimate thing is, yes, we have all the plans, but we need to take action. Okay, so hopefully in the next soft tech, we will actually get experiences from you guys out there. So there will be actually an exchange of knowledge. Okay, and so I think basically I'll leave it at that. And last but not least, I would like to thank John, Mark, Werner, as well as Professor Azuma for being excellent panelists. So as usual, the show of hands. And we were told to stay behind because they're going to give us iPad minis, no?
You wish. We'd like you to do one more thing for us, and we are going to draw the lucky draw lots now. And so we're just, if we would like to ask our distinguished panelists who have magic hands, that they're going to, I think each panelist will draw, we better hope they've got yours, 3-3-3-2-2. But we're not going to tell you who the lucky winners are now. We are going to tell you after the next keynote, and that is after Professor Paul's keynote. We will reveal the winners of the lucky draw. So 3 from John, 3 from Mark, and Dr. Alvin. And the prizes to be won are, thank you. So, the prizes to be won are iPad mini, food hampers, CPRE vouchers, and also SoftTech 2014 tickets. Thank you once again to our distinguished panelists. Thank you for humoring us and for a very, very engaging and thought-provoking session. Our next keynote speaker is Professor Dr. Klaus Pohl from University Duisburg, Essen, Germany.